Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. We're back. Heading back to Fallout today. Did a stream the other week where a couple of cards were pointed out to me, and there were things that I'm going to be honest, I haven't looked into the Fallout cards as much as I should have done since they hit MTGO. But there was a couple of cards that turned up that really did pique my interest, and I figured it was worth just going back to Fallout quickly for the first two videos this week to just cover them. The first one is Marcus, the Mutant Mare. 3 green and blue for a 4/4 legendary creature, a Mutant Advisor. Has Vigilance and Trample, so yeah, okay, I'm happy with those stats for a creature. But then, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card if it had a +1/+1 counter on it. If it doesn't, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. Okay, so combat damage goes in, we get to make our creatures bigger, then get to find more creatures to cast, more spells to make things even more fun as we go down the line. Yeah, right then. I like this plan. I mean, I've done Simic decks before here on the YouTube channel where we've played around +1/+1 counters, and some of the cards you see today will be the same as them. They've been in those decks before, but on the whole, there's going to be several creatures in here we haven't played for a while in any deck, and I decided to have a bit of fun with this one. If you're going by the new sort of like commander scales of what's good, what level, power level you are, this probably averages out somewhere around a 3, I think. I don't think it's going to be greater than a 3. There's a couple of game changes in it, but I think it makes it sit on the 3 scale quite happily. But anyway, enough of me rambling. Let's have a look at the deck. So, the first one of the cards, because we do want to chuck around some +1/+1 counters, is Bristling Bill. Obviously, once we hit 5 mana, doubling up the counters, can't complain about that either. Kazur, the Ruthless Stalker, comes next. Whenever a creature we control deals combat damage to a player, we get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. So, you know, helps with our lovely triggers for Marcus, so we can draw them more cards. Concave Siege Captain, I still do love this card. The triple backup and then getting the combat damage in and doubling up on the +1/+1 counters just seems like a no-brainer to me. Elusive Otter Grove's Bounty, I think it's probably one of the first times I've actually put it in a deck in Commander. The Grove's Bounty, the green and X to distribute X +1/+1 counters amongst any number of target creatures, is just great. The prowess side, yeah, that's right. Creatures with power less than Elusive Otters can't block it, that's fine. Is it going to be relevant? Probably not, but the Grove's Bounty is pretty good, so hence it's here. But then we start hitting the things that I really wanted to build a deck around. They're the Hydras. I haven't played Hydras in Commander for a long time. I'm going to be honest about it. Ever since we did Garagos a while back, the original Hydra deck I covered is here today, as you can see. The extra cost reduction and then the ability to fight things seems like a cunning plan. So there's a few Hydras coming in because obviously most of them come in with +1/+1 counters on, so you get the combat damage in. You're away and drawing cards already, so we can't complain. First one, Genesis Hydra. Pay X as big as possible to go and look at the cards in your library and get one you really need and put it into play. Then we've got the Gold Vein Hydra, which I still love from Outlaws of Thunder Junction for the Vigilance, Trample and Haste. And then the treasure tokens when it dies really does help us build up our other Hydras. Hero's Bane is next, has the 4 +1/+1 counters on it, and then we can pay 4 mana to put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is its power. I like that plan. Hooded Hydra, you're going to play it for the X value. You're not going to play it as a morph unless you're really desperate for a 2/2 blocker for 3 mana. You are going to basically try and do the green X to get as many +1/+1 counters on it. So you get all the snakes when someone kills it off, and it does work. Hydroid Crassus, one of the other reasons. I forget this is a Hydra. I remember it's a jellyfish and a beast, but I forget it's a Hydra as well. Draw the cards, gain half the life equals X. That's fine. Like that plan. Iron Scale Hydra. If a creature would deal combat damage to the Iron Scale Hydra, prevent that damage and put a +1/+1 counter on the Hydra. That's fine. A little bit of a slow growth in Theros, but it still does grow and gets us there. Colonian Hydra also comes in with 4 +1/+1 counters on it, and then whenever it attacks, we get to double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature we control. So it suddenly makes our Hydras with the +1/+1s on them massive as time progresses. Because we are playing creatures that are going for the +1/+1 counters, Cameo the Whispered Hopes is here to help us get up that little bit more, and then tap for some extra mana for a bit of ramping. Kodama of the West Tree is also in. We like having this in for the modifying ability because our creatures with counters on them are classed as modified, therefore we get the basic lands out. Going from there, Lifeblood Hydra. Enters the battlefield with the X +1/+1 counters on it, and when it dies, you gain all that life. Managorger Hydra just adds +1/+1 counters as anyone casts any other spells. And you know, you're in a game of Commander, people are not going to be casting spells. So yeah, this should be big by the time you get around to your turn again. The Mosspawn Hydra comes in from Foundations as well. This comes in with +1/+1. We drop a land, we double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. If you've got Bristling Bill in place, you can stack your triggers to get even more. So bear that in mind. Nyxborn Hydra is purely the Bestow ability. Enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, and then each creature gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Nyxborn Hydra and has reach and trample. Yeah, okay then. The enchanted creature gets really big, and even if they remove it, you still get the creature, don't forget, because of how Bestow works. Got Overlord of the Flood Pits in just for a little bit of card drawing and discard, and the Overlord of the Hauntwoods is in as well, just to give us a little bit of that mana ramping we love. From there, we go into more Hydra land with Primordial Hydra to make us double up our +1/+1 counters in our upkeep. We've got Protean Hydra to prevent the damage, and then whenever a +1/+1 counter is removed, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it at the beginning of the next end step. So make this as big as possible, and it causes people a problem. A Rampaging Etherhood comes in, obviously, from the Ether Drift set. Still think this one's great, and this does do the whole +1/+1 counters. It's the only energy sink we've got in the deck, so we'll just sink every bit of energy we get every turn into this to make it work. Rampagant Rejuvenator is also in. This just helps us with getting the basic lands into play, which I'm fine with. Steelbane Hydra gives us a way to take off +1/+1 counters of artifacts and enchantments. Stump Squall Hydra enters the battlefield. We distribute X +1/+1 counters amongst it and any number of commanders, so you can put extra +1/+1s on Marcus if you want to, or you can just shove them all on here. The Goose Mother is just fun, coming in from Wildsville Drain. Enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters, and then you get half of that amount of food tokens. And whenever it attacks, you get to sack a food and draw a card. Yeah, a little bit more card draw, can't complain. Thunderous Snapper just means whenever we cast a spell with converted mana 5 or greater, we get to draw a card. Alright then. Vastwood Hydra, more +1/+1 counters, and when it dies, distribute any number of +1/+1 counters equal to the number on it amongst any other creatures we control. Voracious Hydra just does the whole +1/+1 counter. We can either double them or fight something, depending on what we need to deal with. And then Ren's Run Hydra does the whole reinforce trick from Modern Horizons 3, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's got reach, comes into play with the X +1/+1 counters, or can reinforce another creature. That's fine. A few sorceries, not too many, they're all ramp. Farseek, Kodoma's Reach, Nature's Law, 3 visits, do that job for us. The Game Changer, which makes it power level 3, Cyclonic Rift, always have it in a blue deck, don't leave home without it. And then, just so we can prevent ourselves of things getting a bit sticky because of our Hydra issues, Obscuring Haze to prevent all the damage for a turn. I'm happy with that. We have a few artifacts that all ramp, nothing else fancy here. Arcane Signet, Commander Sphere, Emerald Medallion, Mox Tantalite, Sapphire Medallion, Simic Signet, Soul Ring, Soul Talisman, and Talisman of Curiosity. They're all in to help us ramp. And then we have enchantments. Yeah, we have quite a few enchantments. Starting with Beastmaster's Ascension, because we want to make our creatures bigger. And then Branching Evolution, to make sure we can double up on our +1/+1 counters. Bred from the Hunt, coming back in from Ascension, I want to say. And whenever a creature you controlled it with a +1/+1 counter on it deals combat damage for play, you may draw a card. Helping out Marcus's abilities, so, you know, drawing 2 maybe. The Call to Garen brings a bit of a no-brainer, because it just naturally puts +1/+1 counters on creatures if we need it to. Death's Presence, whenever a creature you control dies, put X +1/+1 counters on target creature, where X is the power of the creature that died, so you can get a really big trampler with this. Doubling Season, no-brainer. Elemental Bond lets us just draw cards. Fight Rigging also chucks around the +1/+1 counters. Garrick's Uprising, as well as letting us draw cards for creatures with power 4 or more, gets us to have trample on everything, so yep. The Growing Rights of Itlamok, so we can go and find a creature and then eventually flip it into the other version, which is the Cradle of the Sun, which I really do like. You know, have to have your fake Gaia's Cradle around occasionally. And it's worth pointing out, Hadana's Climbs in as well. +1/+1 counter at the beginning of combat, and then if you do flip it, you get to give a creature +X and flying until the end of turn, where X is its power. So yeah, we like that. As I said, Hardened Scales is here. Nature's Will, because we might as well explore, have our lands become untapped as much as we can. Path of Discovery to get the extra lands into place. We can do the whole explore trick. Retreat to Kazu, either gain the lights when we drop gain life when we drop the lands, or get +1/+1 counters. Simic Ascendancy, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control, and whenever a creature, one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature, you put that many counters on here, and then if you've got 20 on at the beginning of your upkeep, you win the game. Yeah, bit of fun. Gives you another way of winning with your +1/+1 counter based creatures. Sylvan Scavenging comes in from Foundations as well, to chuck around +1/+1s and give us some raccoons if we're desperate. And Tribute to the World Tree. Yeah, another way of drawing cards basically when we start hitting all of our Hydras. Lands, the usual selection of forests and islands, starting with Breeding Pool, Broker's Hideouts here, Command Tower. We are heavy because of what we're trying to do. We've got 10 forests, 10 islands, and then Hedge Maze, Hinterland Garber, Misty Rainforest, Path of Ancestry, Rhinewood Falls, Skyshroud Forest, just for the laugh factor, I'll be honest. Haven't played this land for Tempest for a long time, and I figured it was worth having a bit of fun and games with it today. Tangled Islet, and then the Vine Glimmer Snarl, Windrush Verge from Ether Drift, and Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, so we can make sure that every land we have in play is a forest. But that's it. That is my take on Marcus, the Mutant Mare. Bit fun and games. I'm glad it got pointed out to me in the game we were playing the other night, so yeah, really pleased about that. But I figured it was worth a little video on its own, so there you go. Another Fallout card tomorrow, so come back to watch that. There's 621 as I record this one today. Lost someone, I think it was a bot, looking at what's happened on the stats I get through. So yeah, please, if you can, hit the subscribe button, help me out. 379 of you to go until I get to that magic 1000 number, so I really would appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, if you can hit the share button and just share my videos out so I get a bit more coverage. I'd really appreciate that. But for now, thanks for watching. As soon as my new house is all set up, if you watch some of my previous videos, I'm in the middle of moving as you watch this one. I'll be back streaming, I'll be playing Marcus as soon as I can. But for now, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.